Doing a road trip on a sport bike is a acquired taste, but I'm gonna be honest, it really isn't as bad as what people make it out to be. I just got done doing a road trip with the CFMoto 675, and I wanna go over some of the things that I learned, some of the things that I'll be doing differently, and how it was taking a sport bike on a road trip for a couple of days. Let's jump into it. Okay guys, welcome back to the channel. And if you're new to the channel, what's up, what's going on? My name is Jeffrey, and on this channel, we are all about purpose over comfort and faith over fear. I am just trying to inspire you guys to go after your dreams. Trust me, there is plenty of people who are gonna be telling you don't go after your dreams. I'm gonna be telling you guys, go after it. I'm just a normal dude. If I can do it, you guys can too. I'm hopefully trying to inspire you guys to go after things that you wanna go after. Even if it's someone telling you not to ride a motorcycle or not even taking a sport bike on a road trip. If it's something you wanna do, go after it. But you know what? Sometimes it's not gonna be comfortable, but if you wanna live in your purpose, you're gonna have to get out of your comfort zone and go after things that you wanna go after. But with that out of the way, we are talking about the road trip we just did. So if you didn't see that video, I'll have it linked down below. I think it was the video that's gonna be before this one. But a couple of things that I did on the road trip and kind of my experience. I want to give you guys kind of the lay down and the things that I packed. So I did choose to take this over anything else. I've gone down to Vegas from Southern California many times. So it's a trip that I'm very familiar with. I had to go down there for work for a couple of days, and I figured I would take the sport bike, do something a little bit differently. But if you are a subscriber on the channel and you've been subscribed for a while, you will know I love doing road trips. I prefer actually doing road trips versus just flying. In a lot of cases, we literally drive across country. It's like, I think it should still be like the channel trailer for this channel. If you go to the channel, it's like I was talking about the 7 cross-country road trips that I've done with this trailer, with the truck, I did it in a Jeep. I like the ability to just get on something, get in something, and just drive to a destination. It's fun for me. It's not as convenient as it is to get on a plane, but for me, that's just kind of fun. So I wanted to challenge myself and do something a little bit differently and take a sport bike. I could have taken even this, the CB500F, which is a more upright, naked motorcycle, which is my wife's bike. Could have even taken this, probably would have been a little bit more comfortable, but I don't know, I want to do something a little bit differently. And I will say, it is a acquired taste, but it really isn't that bad. So the main reason why I wanted to do this trip was because I've done this trip many times in other vehicles, but I wanted to do it on something a little bit different. And I figured this was a good time to test it out because I know that trip pretty well, kind of know my way. And if I get myself into any type of situation, I'm very familiar with, what I'm doing. So that is my first tip. If you are gonna do it, maybe test it out, do it in a place that you've probably done before. Or, but honestly, if you wanna just send it, go ahead, just fully send it. At least in my case, I tried to be a little bit careful with at least having some understanding of where I was going. So the things that I did initially, which actually worked out great. So first thing I did was install the racing windscreen. Now, yes, I know it is a tinted windscreen and some people are like, that's bad for visibility. But I'm gonna be honest with you guys, there is very little times that I'm fully tucked down that I'm looking through this windscreen. For me, I mostly did it for, yes, I like the way it looks, but actually just the wind protection, it actually changes the front end of the bike a lot. On the highway, the wind definitely goes over me a lot more. I'm fairly taller and I have like a tall torso, so like my head just was like where it was before, the wind was just dumping right into my face. Now it's a lot better, so that just helps out a lot. Having the front windscreen helped out a lot. And I also just installed these crash bars on here. These were mostly to put on gear so I can attach more stuff to the motorcycle. So those 2 modifications were great. There were a couple things I wish I would have done, which I'll talk about in a second, but those 2 things that I did made this trip so much more bearable. Because before on the highway, even in some of my older videos, if you see me trying to moto vlog while I'm on the highway, the wind buffeting is so bad, it's like directly like hitting me in the face that it's like the audio is not great. So having that helped out a lot. And then having the crash bar, it allowed me to pack more stuff. So I originally, if you saw the original video, I did get a small little pannier bag, which is right here. And for me, the trip was going to be, I was driving down a Wednesday, had to do 2 full days there and driving back on a Friday. So I had to pack pretty much 2 full outfits for work, like a work conference, and what I was wearing with me. So I was actually able to fit most of my clothing in here. The negative side was I had to bring like my laptop and other electronics with me in my book bag. And then I also did bring some cold weather gear because I knew that the temperature was gonna probably drop going in the desert at night, which I'm very happy I did bring that. I'll talk about that in a second. But my initial thought was I was gonna have just this one pannier bag, attach it to the front of the motorcycle or on the side, and have my book bag. I thought I was just gonna wear it. And then I had my tank bag with like everything else. That's what I originally thought. But I quickly learned after putting the book bag on and just getting on the motorcycle before I even left, I was like, yeah, that's not gonna work. So I wind up actually strapping the book bag to the back of the tail of the motorcycle. And honestly, just having some bungee cords, I had a lot of bungee cords. It sat there fine. I was a little bit nervous at first, but it sat there perfectly fine. And then with this bag, at first I had it technically like right here, but then I kind of learned, like on my first stop, I adjusted it and let it lean on the front so my legs can fully go. It was so much better just putting that to the front right there. And so I would say for a couple days trip, that was great. I had all of my stuff. It was a bit cramped because I had like a big hoodie inside of my book bag along with some other stuff and my computer and everything else. So it did make the book bag cramped. Luckily with the tank bag, anything that I needed to get quickly, I just put in there, like my camera gear and like my wallet, AirPods, things like that was right there. My phone was on the phone mount. So stuff that I needed quickly, I could get in the tank bag, but anything else, it was just kind of buried inside of my book bag or buried inside of there. So that is one thing I will say definitely it wasn't necessarily tricky, but when you're packing, you do want to take that into consideration. Now, if you've probably noticed this right here, this is the first thing. I don't know why I didn't get this. I had cruise control on my other motorcycle, the KTM 890, and I always thought I was going to do touring on that bike. For some reason, I didn't even think about on here, adding a cruise control. Technically, I'm gonna tell you the truth, I didn't really even know like these existed. My first gas stop, I noticed that immediately. I was like, wow, my arm is actually getting kind of tired from holding the throttle. Now, I've seen people talk about road trip videos and stuff like that, and people say like, yeah, they add cruise control, but I never actually thought about it for myself. I don't know why. I literally was thinking of everything, and that's one of the things that I didn't think about. So I would, for sure in the future, if I would ever do any other type of road trip, which spoiler alert, I'm gonna do more, but having that installed is a big lifesaver. This one is just basically, it's like a throttle lock. It's not really a cruise control. It just kind of locks the throttle in the position that you're in. You can still upshift and downshift, or you can technically still modulate the throttle, which is kind of like locked into place. It's just a way to kind of, hold your throttle input. So it's essentially a cruise control, but not really. But having that, I think, is the biggest thing, the biggest upgrade, I feel like, just to improve on the highway, because it's really just having this hand locked into place. About the time I got to Vegas, which is about 300 miles, my trap was killing me. It was brutal. And I'll explain, I did get something that I thought was gonna help, but I'll explain that in a second. But yeah, that's the first thing I would do, is getting a throttle lock. The second thing is which I don't know why I didn't think of this, the seat. Yeah, after I think like my second gas stop, because I stopped quite often to get gas because of, I did know being in this position was gonna be a little bit more uncomfortable. So I wanted to take it easy. And also for the gas wise, I wanted to stop, I want to say it was like every 100 miles I was stopping, or 70 to 100 miles. It just depended on how I was feeling. So I think I stopped a couple of times, and I did stop once to just stretch real quick. But this seat, holy moly. I didn't think it was uncomfortable, because riding sporty, it feels fine. There's no problems with it. I literally never even think about the seat at all. But when you're sitting on it for a couple hours, yeah, that starts to hurt. So what I did do was literally, I had to dig into my bag, get some like sweatpants out, and I try to put them on the seat to try to just help with that, just to sit on top of that. But it helped a little bit, but it was still getting kind of uncomfortable. I have no idea why I didn't think of that. It's just kind of funny. Like in hindsight, yeah, it makes sense. People do complain about that, like the seats. There's tons of seats that you could buy off of Amazon, like the gel seats, just the pad inserts and things like that, or just get a better seat in general. I think it might help. I did see if you're taller, you can get this another seat that kind of helps out. But I think in general for like stock, for like riding around town, just riding around for like an hour or two, it's not too bad. But about time, if you're on it for like a while, yeah, the seat gets kind of uncomfortable. So a couple things I winded up doing was when I got into town in Vegas, I did stop at a motorcycle shop because of, I knew on the way back, I needed to change up a couple of things. So the first thing that I did was try to find a throttle lock of some sort, because I did see the Atlas one online, but I couldn't find a way to get it delivered to me while I was out in Vegas like that quickly. I needed it like by the next day. So I elected to try to drive around and try to find some motorcycle shops. What I did find is these things, they just slip on. These things, they basically just slip on here, so you don't have to basically use your whole hand to hold the throttle. You can kind of use your palm, if that makes sense. This did help. It is very difficult to drive around in the city because it takes up part of the handle. I kept trying to adjust it, but like my hand kept touching it, if that makes sense, because it kind of sits here and like my hand was just like there, and I kept hitting it. So it was it made things driving around in the city like unpleasant, if that makes sense. Because I was trying to drive around in the city just to get used to it for like a little bit. For some reason, I kept like just tapping it. So like I was just like modulating the throttle a bit too much, especially at like takeoffs. And I was just like, this is just becoming annoying. So I took it off. I did put it back on when I got on the highway to go back home. Like right before I left, I did put it on. It worked fine. I'm gonna tell you the truth though, but for some reason it made my hand, by the time I got back home, my hand was getting sore. It wasn't because I was holding the throttle, because of just like the vibrations through that. For some reason, it was just like hitting my palm. It just made my hand kind of sore. I've seen people use those on other bikes, so they're not bad, but at least for me, it just didn't feel right. I'm so much more happier that I got this. I still have to install it, but this is basically, it's a lock, which it will go here, so it's not on the actual throttle itself, and you can hold the throttle in place, click it in, and it'll basically just keep it pinned at whatever, input you have it. You can, even while it's locked, you can still, modulate, give more, give less. It basically just kind of holds it, and then you press the button and it just releases it. But yeah, bought that thing while I was there. And then the second thing I bought was this. It's kind of funny, it's called Wild Ass. I think these are meant for Harleys. This is technically a passenger seat one, but this was like the only thing that they had, and I was just like, I will do anything just to make this a little bit more comfortable. This has gel and air, I believe. So, I mean, yeah, driving back was fine. The only thing about this, it just, when you have so much air in it, it does pushes you up quite a bit. So the driving position is different. I'm like higher up. It does have some straps. You can strap it underneath the seat. I think it's fine. It was actually kind of expensive, but I wish I just would have bought one that was meant for a sport bike that would have contoured the actual seat better. This was like the best that I could do. And I was just like, I'll do it if it's gonna help to drive back. If it's not, if it doesn't make it terrible to drive back home. So yeah, that helped out a lot as well. The other thing that I did get while I was at the shop was, while I was there, I actually picked up just another bag, which helped out a lot actually, just with carrying stuff back. I wind up putting another one up here on this side in the front. So this one just sat in the front like that, and I had the other one on the other side in the front. Just being able to distribute my stuff a little bit more made things so much more pleasant driving back. It wasn't as if I really felt the weight or anything like that, but I did have to stop because when I was first driving, it was daylight. But then as I was leaving, the sun was going down and it got cold. And I purposely put all my cold weather gear inside of a bag that I can get out quickly without having to dig through everything and rearrange everything. So that made things very quick with that. I was able to stop, throw on my stuff. Because I brought an extra pair of sweats. Like I was literally wearing shorts with my motorcycle pants and like a shirt with my motorcycle jacket and my helmet. But when it got cold, I put sweats over my shorts and then put my motorcycle pants over that. And I put a hoodie over my shirt and put my motorcycle jacket over that because it was getting cold in the desert at night. So that is my other tip. Having cold weather gear or having gear for multiple occasions, that is the best thing to do because you don't want to be cold. I actually brought like the hot hands as well. I know for myself, my hands get cold. It's kind of crazy. My other bike had the heated grips. This one does not, but I bought the hot hands because I was just like, just in case. It didn't get that cold, but just in case, because yeah, you don't want your hands to be freezing. But the other thing I will say, the wind on the way back was crazy. It is normally windy going that way, but the wind was extremely windy. That was probably, not even probably, that was the worst wind I've ever been in on a motorcycle. I was leaning the bike over to go straight. It was pretty intense. I would say, honestly, just looking at the weather, I felt like I was pretty prepared for it with the cold weather gear and everything like that. But the wind, you know, you can't really help that. Yeah, so any tip of advice, just looking at the weather, just in general, you know that if you're on a motorcycle, you already know that is a big thing. But, oh, another tip, which actually I saw from someone else, which I think helped out a lot. They were saying to, if you're on a motorcycle, bring some extra gloves, like the surgical gloves that you would just have, and wear them underneath your motorcycle gloves for extra insulation. I didn't think that was gonna work, but it did. It actually worked out like a lot. That helped out a lot. I was able to put them on underneath my gloves. Because of that, my hands were like totally fine. But that is a thing though, I will say did help out. The other thing I do wanna note is, now when you're taking a road trip on a motorcycle, in general, they get great gas mileage. On my way out there, I got like 50 miles per gallon, but the gas tank is so much smaller than inside of a car. You have to plan out your gas stops. Just getting gas is a big priority just because you can only go so far on most, you know, motorcycles. Even if you're on like a Goldwing, I think even the new ones now, they can do, I think 200 miles, which I think because like the new ones, they have a little bit smaller gas tank. But even with that, yeah, you just gotta plan out your stops. That's just one thing. So I was trying to be extra careful because I didn't know what my fuel economy was gonna be, how I was gonna be riding just out there. I planned out to go every 70 to 100 miles, just get gas. I had stops like planned, but then when I was looking and my gas tank was further, like I had more range and I was still feeling good, I went further than that. And I kind of knew like, okay, I know that there's a stop coming up eventually. So I would go past some of the stops I had planned out. But yeah, that's like the only other thing. On a motorcycle, you gotta definitely plan out your stops. But with that being said, do I think a sport bike can make a great touring bike? I'm gonna be totally honest with you. Yes and no. I feel like the best touring motorcycle is the motorcycle that you have. So if you just have a sport bike, I say, yeah, you can make it work. I had fun. Like honestly, I had a lot of fun on this bike. It was fun to just have it in, you know, in Vegas somewhere different and just ride it around. If I had the choice to drive this out there versus, I don't know, something else, like not even, I mean, well, obviously I chose this over that just because I just wanted to drive this. But like, if I had the choice to drive this or a adventure motorcycle, I would probably choose a adventure motorcycle just by the nature, just how they sit up more right. And they're meant for a little bit more of that type of riding. But I'm gonna be honest with you though, still, driving a sport bike is still just so much fun. I still think it was worth just putting up with, you know, being a little bit more uncomfortable, sitting in that kind of more ducked down position, which I do want to say, even while I was on the bike riding out there, when I was changing positions a lot, actually I found out just literally like tucking down was a comfortable position. I was able to just kind of like rest on the gas tank in my tank bag. That was actually pretty comfortable for a while. But yeah, I would say it was still so much fun just driving the bike that I was able to put up with the difficulties it was, you know, just riding it for a long period of time. Because like I said before, doing any type of road trip, it does take a bit perseverance. Like there is going to be times where you're kind of being like, oh, I'm bored or I'm kind of tired. You know, if you didn't want to do it, you can jump on a plane or do something else. But I think there's something to taking something that's just a little bit different, just challenging yourself. If I had to choose between this and, I don't know, I'm trying to think something different. I don't know, it really is a toss up. But to me, this is still a fun bike to take. So I think if you have a sport bike and you're wondering, could you take it on a, you know, couple day trip, I think it's still worth doing. You know, it won't be as comfortable as taking a Goldwing, but at the end of the day, you know, when you get there, do you want to drive a Goldwing or do you want to drive a sport bike? But yeah, that is my take on this. Let me know, guys, what do you guys think? Do you guys want to take a sport bike on a road trip? Do you think it's fun? Do you think the CFMoto 675 makes a good road trip vehicle? I have to do an oil change on this thing now after just putting on a good decent amount of miles. So I'm going to be doing that probably in the next video. I don't really know. We're going to see. But if you haven't seen my last video when we took this thing on the massive road trip, check the video out on the screen right here. Subscribe for more, and we'll see you guys in the next one.